Is that recording? Okay, we are recording. All right. So, hello everyone. This is Adam Cohen. I'm here with Megan McCoy, and Megan is a podcaster that took the pleasure of interviewing me a few weeks ago. And today I decided to flip the coin on her and to get her back to ask her questions. We're
Oh
going to
yeah.
be talking about the younger generation, their real estate goals, their investing goals, and challenges they think they may face in the years ahead. Megan.
Hi. Hi, Adam. Thanks so much for having me on. Yeah, super excited. Love that I got the message to flip the coin and now you're interviewing me. Super excited.
Yes, it's always interesting to kind of like switch seats and kind of see it from the other side. So how do you feel to be on the hotspot?
It's definitely, I'm now feeling, very different because obviously I conduct, so I kind of know how the ring of things go. I have questions lined up. But being on the hot seat, it's like you don't really know what's coming next. It's like more like on edge, exciting. Yeah, it's strange for sure. I've never had anyone interview me.
Oh well, then I'm glad to be the first. So that's two firsts I've done in the last 2 weeks. Because last week I was the first repeat guest for my
Mhm.
buddy's show, Sleep is for Billionaires. I was the
Oh,
first
really?
one that he's ever done twice, and now I'm the first one to interview you. So that's two firsts. All right.
Wow.
So
Thanks for
I'm off to
everything.
a good start. We need one more for a trifecta. So let's get deep into our questions, and let's start with, as we said, we're talking about young generation and we're talking about investing goals.
hmm
So. Do you mind if we tell everyone how old you are?
Yes, so I'm 25. I graduated college in 2022. And I mean, I've been investing. So I majored in finance when I was in college. I always loved like the flow of money, how like it works, how to invest it. I opened up, my first credit card as soon as I turned 18. I was obsessed with building my credit score for some reason. Like just when I was 18, I bought all these finance books, became obsessed with like money market accounts, interest, taught myself all of that. So yeah, I mean, investing has definitely been, for me personally, a big goal, and I've always enjoyed it.
Like, so you studied finance. What kind of finance did you study? Was it like business finance or just like investing finance?
Yeah, it was it was mostly just business finance, kind of that umbrella term. But I actually was a bit more interested in like the business management side. That caught my interest. It was less I'm less into like actual like math heavy finance, just more on the managerial side, which was really interesting to me.
Well, I always say that my main business is finance, but I can barely count on the best of days.
I know. Gotta whip
It,
out the calculator
yeah,
for three times
it,
three.
it's like I can calculate an entire closing statement in my head for like when I'm
Mhm.
doing like commercial lending and stuff like that. I can do all those numbers like all good. But when it comes to figuring out the tip, I have no idea.
I'm the same
It's
way.
like
I'm also very, very good at like advanced math. Like I was great at calculus, love calculus, but I swear it's the simple algebra that gets me. Like 17 plus 36. Like I don't know. It's something
did,
weird.
when did they start teaching Common Core math in America? Do you know?
Oh, Common Core, I remember that switch vividly. I was in grade school and it was a big hot topic amongst the parents. Like I remember some people loved it, some people hated it. I can't remember which year it was. Maybe like 2012. Fully pulling that out. I'm not sure.
Now, the only thing I understand about Common Core math, that if you take 5 and you add 5 to equal 10, you're racist.
I thought you were gonna say why, because Common Core, like the whole thing about Common Core, I remember, is 5 plus 5 equals 10, but it was like why? And that all confused us because we were learning in such a distinct way, 5 plus 5 equals 10, but now it's why. And you don't know how to explain why 5 plus 5 equals 10. It was a strange switch for sure.
So I was having this conversation with my 11-year-old daughter, and I said, all right, if you have 100 people and you multiply them by nothing, how many people do you have? And she's like, nothing. And I'm like, no, what happened to the 100 people?
I know. It's a good point. I've never thought of that.
You know, so it's like the anomalies of the world. So tell me, Megan, tell me. How did you get involved in podcasting?
Okay, so I started my podcast journey pretty recently. My YouTube channel is still on the startup side. I really want to get, a good few videos out there before I start pushing the promotion heavy and running ads, etc. But kind of got into it because of my company, Stravix, and it was sort of this, I had this idea of this different like market outreach situation. And I thought it would be very interesting to start a podcast where I interview, high level leaders, entrepreneurs, innovators, just anyone in their field that I can tell is like really passionate about what they do and really successful in making a change. And, I would get to talk with these amazing leaders. I would ask them about AI, which is exactly what my company focuses on as well. Gain insights from them. We can clip it, put it on LinkedIn, YouTube. I send over any polished clips for them for their marketing content as well. And then even on the clientele side and the business side, they're interested in what me and my company does. We talk about that after, and then usually potentially there's a partnership that comes out of it as well. So it's really just a win-win-win all around, and I really enjoy doing it. I just love having conversations. I'm a big talker. I've met amazing people like you, Adam, building relationships, and yeah, it's been a journey. It's very fun.
That's cool. That's cool. And you're doing a great job. I enjoy watching your podcast.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it's very.
So, so do you plan on being self-employed or do you see yourself more following the career path like corporate America and stuff like that?
So for me in university, I especially early years, very much was set on a track to have, a great corporate job. Like I thought that that was the only path. And I was in a business fraternity, Alpha Kappa Psi, and very smart people, like surrounded by the most driven people I've ever been around in my life. And they were all very heavy on investment banking, and the path to investment banking is brutal. It's you got to start recruiting freshman year to get an internship and so on and so on and so forth. I had no idea what it was. Kind of was interested in that, but then just learning about the hours and then the pay is great, of course, but it's like, you're really just a slave to whoever you work for, especially in the banking area. So it's not for me, of course, not dissing anyone who's a banker. I think you have to be a certain type of person and very intelligent, and I totally respect them. But that kind of got me thinking. I was like, is this really like my only path? Of course, banking is not the only path. There's other flexible, of course, 9 to 5s or a regular corporate job. But I just really didn't like the idea of having to be on call for someone. I know that sounds like annoying, but I don't want to have a boss. Um, I mean, of course, it's a dream to be self-employed. I mean, like most people that I've talked to, of course, they want to own a business. They want to wake up whenever they can, not have their phone on and have to respond to their boss. But I really just took that um, and really, really resonated with it. And I think I've done a good job so far. I did work for Anchor Loans for a little bit. Really enjoyed my time there as well.
I
But
believe it.
with my company, I've had a great time, and I fully want to well, I will continue to work with my company, work on growing, scaling, and at the moment, self-employment has been amazing, and hopefully that's the dream for the rest of my life.
I'm glad to hear it. I'm glad to hear it. If money was no object and you had all the money in the world and you could just do any business just for fun, what would it be?
Oh my goodness. I might have to give a few answers. For fun, I mean, I guess I just gotta go the girly route. I think it'd be really cool to own like a perfume brand. I'm really big with like scents and like of course the cosmetic, clothing. I think I find that all very interesting. But also I'm really interested in real estate, and if like money wasn't like an issue, I would just like invest in so many properties, have properties all around the world, and can just, rent them out when I'm not there and have them. Which is honestly, that's a future goal of mine. That's real estate is gonna come down the line for me. That's a goal of mine. So maybe realistic, hopefully.
Well, real estate's a great business. It's
Yeah,
definitely a great
definitely is.
business. And how do you feel that artificial intelligence is going to play a role in that? And like, do you think artificial intelligence is going to be your ally or is it going to be your competitor?
hmm So, a big topic right now, of course, is AI and people being replaced, and people are scared. But what I've actually noticed, and noticed it recently, especially with my company, is there's been a switch, definitely in the past year, I'd say, where people are no longer afraid of AI. They are using it as a tool and they're adopting it and understanding that it's here and it's here to stay. So that was definitely a big question when ChatGPT launched in 22. Everyone was terrified of it. Then teachers were not using it in school. It was banned everywhere. Now I heard that, people are adopting it in schools. They're using it as tools. So I'm personally not afraid of AI at all. Of course, it does scare me a little bit when I see a video and I don't immediately recognize that it's artificial intelligence. The graphics are getting unbelievably good, and of course, they're only going to get better. That is a little bit on the scarier side. But besides that, it's here to stay. I think I'm using it as a tool. Of course, it's the basis of my company. I think people are using it as a tool. And, I know some people are afraid of it, but I think that if you realize that life will go on and we just have to adopt it and mold to it because it's here, I think that that will definitely reshape how some people think.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how I can turn myself into an AI.
Honestly, let's just wake up and be robots.
Do you think that your generation, the 20 to 30 somethings, do you think that they're going to be more of a renter like population? Do you think they're going to buy their own homes? How do you see your generation investing in real estate? Because you're obviously like, lucky you work in finance and you obviously have good resources, but not everyone your age has the same opportunity.
hmm So with my generation, at least the people I like to surround myself with are very intelligent and diligent with their money, actually. Um, it's definitely more heard of now to know the value of money, start investing, be smart with it. And I think that comes on the renting side, maybe
Yeah,
just in the 20s, 30s, late 30s, definitely on the owning side.
yeah,
But with my generation, it's smart to rent in your 20s. You don't want to settle down. It's also smart to travel. I mean, just for life and
opportunity. Yeah, absolutely.
opportunity. So I think definitely renting in 20s and owning in late 30s.
Late 30s.
Mhm.
That's probably a good advice. Although I would say that buying a property and paying it off as young as possible is also probably good advice.
That is another route as well.
All right. So, do you think, for example, that you plan on making, as well as like buying real estate, do you see yourself investing in the capital markets, Bitcoin, shares? Do you have like big investing goals?
I'm not too interested in crypto. I don't see it's not in my future looks at the moment.
Uh,
I'm kind of just so focused on investing in my company at the moment and just being very diligent with that. So it's not on my mind, but it's not something that I would be opposed to. I think that, it's very important, and I think down the line, especially, that's when I'll definitely consider that.
what about retirement? I mean, for example, when I was your age, 25, a few days ago, and few weeks, maybe months, years. Well, actually, when I was 26, I moved from the England to the United States, so that was like a big deal.
Mhm.
But do you ever think about your retirement and saving for your retirement, or you haven't? Because a lot of people they live for today, they don't think about tomorrow.
Yeah. Um, I think I might be an outlier for this question. Like I mentioned, very into investing. I mean, I opened a Roth when I was 20. So, started investing in that every month, put $50 in it. I learned the beauty of compound interest and I just could not believe it. And I was like, I was putting all my friends on. I was like, do you understand that if you put like this much amount, this times a month, when you're 65, you'll have like $10 million dollars? They're like, what? So it definitely was interesting learning about that. But yeah, I mean, to answer your question to the best of my ability, I forgot the original question. I'm sorry.
It was, are you saving for your retirement?
Oh, yeah. So yes, the answer is yes. I opened a Roth when I was 20. Um, got gifted a stock account by my lovely father when I was 18, and invested in fundraise a little bit. And I think, I'm pretty set up well for retirement. And I think people need to definitely think about that. I mean, unless you die tomorrow, which of course can happen, you're gonna be 65 one day. You're gonna be 59 and a half or whenever. And you want to live comfortably.
I'm saying 51 indefinitely. I've reached my limit. I'm not aging any further. That was it. I'm
You're
not.
25. You
Yeah,
are
I'm 25. I'm 25 and a half. Twice.
25.
Every 2 years I do that one because you can't do it like mid-year. So I'm like, I'm 25 again. I'll be 26 again next year. So
Yeah,
like
who cares?
again, I'm doing like my honorary lap. So the last question I had on here, which and you seem pretty well versed in business and finance, is if you could make one change in the economy that you think would help everybody, what do you think that would be?
Oh, 100% teaching better in high school about your own investments. 100%. I had to learn everything myself. I had to become motivated myself. I had like a 725 credit score when I was like 18, and like I showed my parents. They were like, "What the hell?" Like I didn't even know what the hell that was till I was like 20, like 20 something. So, I feel like if we educate the younger generation on how to manage money, how to use it, personal finances. I think it'll just overall help the economy, help people not go bankrupt, live comfortably after retirement. I think it should, I mean, some high schools have mandatory classes like this, but really like engaging it and making it mandatory for everybody. I think, once you get sent off into college, you're kind of like on your own unless you're supported, but um, it's kind of like high school and then you're off and then you kind of have to get that passion to know about your own money and invest and everything like that. So, I'd say that.
I think that's very smart because I don't think they teach in school. They don't teach about credit. They don't teach about paying taxes. They don't teach about obligations. They don't teach about managing money. Don't teach about investing. You think we live in a society that's really dependent upon state benefits, especially when people get older. But they
Yeah.
don't teach anyone how to manage their money when they're
No,
young to
no,
make
they
smart
don't.
decisions as they get older. So you get as everyone gets older, you get this massive divide in the
Yeah.
wealth gap between those who are very comfortable and those who have nothing.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
they
And
definitely need to fix that.
I definitely think that they can also teach it in an interesting way. Like I had a class in high school that was like similar, but it was so damn boring. If they make it where they say, open an account, it's mandatory for this class, open an account, put $1 in, put as much money as you in as you want in as a homework assignment or something. Now it's open. Make them open a credit card, start your credit building, at least it's open. And then, teach them how much free money you can make almost. That's what got me into it. Once I learned about compound interest, and what you can turn $50 a month into when you're 65, I was like, holy shit, that's insane. And I feel like it'll like capture the interest of these kids, young adults, and then I think it'll just, domino from there.
Yeah, I think kids definitely need to get interested and excited about investing and saving money instead of spending it, instead of looking at, oh, I can buy Louis Vuitton or I can save for this Ferrari. I read something really interesting. You see a guy and he's driving like an old Honda and he lives in a small house, but everything's paid for and everyone thinks he's a bum. But then you see a guy who's mortgaged up to the hill right, on his house and he's up to his eyeballs in debt on his car and everyone's like, oh, he's doing well and there's the other guy that's better off. So it's understanding values, not just like and perception, not just what we see and think, oh, that person, I know, like, for example, in 2008, 2009, I used to live down in Miami, and
Mhm.
my next door neighbor knocks on my door and he says, can he park his Ferrari in my garage? Because that way, when the tow truck comes around looking for it, they'll go to the wrong house. And I remember laughing and I said, sure, you can park your car in my garage, but
Yeah.
if the police knock on my door, I'm going to open it. I'm like,
Yeah.
so, and they did. And I remember his wife screaming at me, you know, open the, why did they took our car? And I'm like, but it's just, it's interesting because people think that if they look good, with what they have. Therefore, they're doing well. Meanwhile,
Mhm.
they're in debt. And I would say that buy these things when you can afford them, not before you can afford them. And I think that's another thing about teaching people to be smart about their
Money
purchase
invest.
goals, investing goals. Like if you spend as much money putting their money into, say, a 401k or into an investment plan as you did on a car payment, all right, maybe you have a less expensive car, 30, 40 years from now, you'll have a lot of money. But the
100%.
car, on the other hand, will be worth nothing. So
Exactly. Exactly. Learning the value.
yeah. Well, that was interesting. You've given me some hope for your generation that you guys are going to be okay. I was worried.
No, we'll surprise you. We're gonna surprise
I was like, I had to come up with my saving the world plan,
you.
my
Don't worry.
philanthropy,
Don't worry.
te
We're gonna save it ourselves.
teaching everyone, younger generation, how to invest wisely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
love it.
Open and in and out.
Yes.
Well, Megan, thank you for joining us today. I really appreciate the opportunity to flip the coin on you
Yeah,
and
thank you so
to
much.
I'm going to say I'm going to wish you every success in your future podcasting career and your future investing career. And
Thank
can
you.
you should continue to talk about this to your generation because they definitely need the advice and it's interesting to speak with young people that have big investment goals. I respect it a lot.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I had a great conversation and it was so much fun being interviewed. So thank you.
I'm glad to be your first one. Now you're prepared for the next one.
Yes, it's amazing.
All
Thank you so
right.
much.
Thank you. I'm going to